After a first half of frustration, the Rangers in the second half can't stop winning. And it looks like it's finally go time.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Paddock, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Paddock. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about this Rangers team sweeping the Braves, a 6-game winning streak, the best homestand in Rangers franchise history, and where that leaves this team just 3 days ahead of the trade deadline. Before we get into all that, this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Now, the Rangers cannot stop winning. This team is just winning since the second half started. And even leading into that second half, the Rangers took a 2 out of 3 against the Houston Astros. They took 2 out of 4 against the Angels right before that. But this team in the month of July is just downright unstoppable. 15-9 in this month, and they have more than doubled their opponent's run scoring. This month, for the whole month, 21 games, the Rangers have scored 123 runs and allowed just 61. This team is on fire lately. And they're not just doing it against a bunch of scrub teams. I mean, during this 9 wins in the last 10 games, they have been against 2 first-place teams, 2 of what were considered at the time, less so over the last couple of weeks, because maybe the Rangers sent them into a skid. Maybe the Rangers took advantage of facing 2 teams skidding, but they took 2 out of 3 in Houston right before the break. They took 2 out of 3 against the Tigers at home since the break, and their only loss since the All-Star break was to Tarek Skubal in a 1-run game where the Rangers had opportunities to win that one, but just a 1-run game against the best pitcher on earth is the only loss this team has had in 9 games since the All-Star break. I said heading into this All-Star break, heading into the second half, that this team probably needed to win at least 6 out of 9 in this homestand against the Braves, against the A's, against the Tigers. That was going to be a tough task because the Tigers are a really good team. The A's are hitting like crazy. The Rangers held them to 2 or fewer runs in every single game. And then the A's go and they mop the Astros and explode for 15 runs on Friday against this Astros team. And they beat them handily in every single game. And this Rangers team won most of these games pretty handily. A couple of close games against the Tigers. The Rangers didn't score a whole lot of runs in that series, but against the A's, they were able to explode for 7 and 6 runs. And then to finish out that series, they had a nice little close 2-1 win against the Braves. They exploded for 8 runs in the first game, 6 runs in the second game, 8 runs in the final game. That Saturday game was just absolutely thrilling to be there in person to watch. But this is the team this was supposed to be all along. This is who the 2025 Rangers were supposed to be. Actually, no, this is better than who the 2025 Rangers were supposed to be. This was not supposed to be the best pitching staff in baseball by a wide margin. This is not particularly close. This Rangers team is the best pitching staff in baseball by a wide margin. Not just the rotation, the bullpen as well. Not just Jacob deGrom, not just Nathan Eovaldi. They have gotten great starts out of Tyler Mahle. They have gotten great production out of Patrick Corbin. Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter are holding their own as rookies, and Jack Leiter just keeps getting better and better and better. This team, as a team, 106 games into the season, has a 3.15 ERA. Let me say that again. As a team, the Rangers have a 3.15 ERA. The next closest is the Kansas City Royals, who are a 3.49 ERA. And the Royals pitch in Kauffman Stadium, which is a very, very pitcher-friendly ballpark. So this team is doing it in what is basically a neutral ballpark. Their pitchers have just been that good. And this is just such a huge shout out to the Rangers professional scouts. I mean, they had an incredible year last year because the pro scouts are the guys who look at guys on other teams and say, "Oh, they're not using him right. If we get him, if we sign him, we can figure out, tweak this one thing, tweak these two things, bring them in, and they'll crush it for us." And you know what? They're basically batting about 1,000 on what they did this offseason. Now, Luke Jackson was a bit of a miss, but you look at the rest of this bullpen. I mean, so many guys who they signed. Hobie Milner having an incredible year. Sean Armstrong having an incredible year. Robert Garcia, what a trade there. Jacob Webb having a pretty fine year there. Jacob Latz, well, that was not an external scouting, but Chris Martin having a great year as well. And not to mention the absolute home run that they hit with Patrick Corbin. I mean, oh my goodness. And same with, a couple years back with Tyler Mahle. I mean, this is his second year under contract. The Rangers signed him a couple years ago because they thought they could get him at a decent price and get some decent production out of him. And they did. And they very much did. I mean, this staff has been so incredibly good. And there were so many wins across the board. I mean, lots of people could have gone and signed Sean Armstrong for, what was it, $1.5 million? 1.25 million. Hobie Milner's making $2.5 million this year. And he is significantly better than just about every other big budget reliever that the Rangers could have gotten. He's pitched in 49 games this year and has a 2.17 ERA. He has been so darn good. Jacob Webb has been pretty darn productive. Not the best, but pretty darn productive. Sean Armstrong, who's been around for a while, has a 3.02 ERA and just keeps on munching those high leverage innings and keeps on keeping these Rangers in these close games. I mean, this has just been such a good team from top to bottom. They've just hit on the vast majority of their signings, at least on the pitching side. The hitting side, not quite as much. Jock Peterson comes back after spending 2 months on the IL, or maybe a month and a half. It has been a minute since he has been in this Rangers lineup. Doesn't have the most productive first day back. I still think there's some upside there for sure. But this is just why this team was so frustrating, why I was so frustrated with this team for the first 2 months, why I think the vast majority of this fan base was so incredibly frustrated with this team for the first 2 months. It's because this pitching staff is incredible. This, I'd say pretty comfortably, is the best pitching staff the Texas Rangers have ever had. And I don't think it's particularly close. 2019 had some nice top end depth, but from guy number one in the rotation of Jacob deGrom to the final guy in the bullpen of Caleb Bosley, who did okay. He's a fine final, lowest leverage reliever in your bullpen. But from guy 1 to guy 14, or however many are actually in this pen at this point, there's not really a weak link. There's not really all that much room for the Rangers to improve. There's always a little bit of room. And I think the Rangers are going to be aggressive at this trade deadline. But because this offense was so frustrating and abysmal, it had so much talent on it that was just all underperforming at the exact same time. It looked like this Rangers team might end up wasting the best pitching staff we've ever seen this franchise have. The best pitching staff in baseball. And if you have the best pitching staff in baseball and you sneak your little way into October, and for half of your postseason games, you're going to have, hopefully, Jacob deGrom or Nathan Eovaldi, how many teams are stacking up with that? And there's not a 1-2 in baseball that's anywhere close to that good. Not anywhere close. I don't care if you're looking at the Dodgers. I don't care if you're looking at the Phillies. I don't care if you're looking at the Mets. Nobody has a 1-2 that's as good as Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi. They're not close right now. Philly's pretty good, but they're not at the level of Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi. They're just not. And then you have those bats with that postseason experience, with what should be such a deep lineup and is becoming back to that version of a deep lineup that works these counts, that, gets pitchers on the ropes, that can rally late, that can rally with 2 outs, that can hit with runners in scoring position, because they got so unlucky for the first 2-3 months of this season that they were due for some things to start balancing out. They were overdue for some of these hitters who are really darn good hitters to just return to the average version of the back of their baseball card. And now they're doing that, and they cannot stop winning, and the pitching keeps on being this good. And this was just an incredible weekend for this pitching staff. Even though a couple of starters may have looked shaky, talk about why that's a good thing for their long-term development and for what they're going to do the rest of the season. All that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really spending that much money. And, I can get a full look at my finances. I don't have to juggle multiple different apps. I can just look on Monarch and see exactly what my finances look like and keep a better eye on my spending habits. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Shout out to everybody that's making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, we'll be talking about Jacob deGrom's start in Anaheim. The Rangers getting that much closer to the trade deadline. If there's any news, rumblings, rumorings about who the Rangers might be trading for, should be trading for, I will be catching you all up as we're leading up to this trade deadline. But this was a great weekend of baseball. This was the first Rangers game I've been able to be in attendance for this year so far. I went to Saturday's game with my girlfriend and her family, who are all from Atlanta and Atlanta Braves fans. And so because her dad was paying for the tickets, I felt not to shove the knife in too much when the Rangers won in walk-off fashion. Just an incredibly dramatic game. A tough game for Kumar Rocker, who finishes the night with 4 innings pitched. So many pitches he threw in that short span. 95 pitches, 3 runs, all of them earned, 3 walks, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts, though, in that span. And what I really liked about Kumar Rocker's outing is that he battled back. He got himself into some trouble. He got himself, into a lot of trouble early on in that game, giving up runs in the first couple innings. But then he settled down for those third and a little bit in the fourth innings. But he just was able to find it after just not really having that command of just really throwing some really good pitches, and the Braves were just taking it. I mean, he was throwing quality pitches. It wasn't like he just was throwing a whole lot of non-competitive pitches. He was just not quite getting it to the spots that he needed to. He wasn't throwing the correct pitch mix or whatever he was doing. It wasn't working. These Braves hitters were seeing him well, and they were hitting him well when they were getting pitches to hit. And if they weren't, they were just taking their walks. It was just a frustrating performance for Rocker, who has had some real ups and downs this year, and who I don't know if he will end up pitching the entire workload of a full season. He's already missed some time at this point, at some point this year. But he's also, people have talked a lot about, Jacob deGrom coming back from Tommy John surgery, and we'll see how many innings that Jacob deGrom is going to throw. But deGrom, at least in the past, has made 30 starts in a season, has done the full major league workload, and has, thrown 200 plus innings. Rocker hasn't done that yet. He'll get there. I think eventually he will be a very healthy, durable starter, hopefully. But he's still working his way there. But seeing him figure it out, seeing him work through that traffic and get himself through 4 innings, give a little bit of length to this team that needed it, because Eovaldi also struggled on Friday. Even though he went 5 shutout innings, he walked 4 hitters, which is just not a very Nathan Eovaldi like day, especially in 5 innings of work. I mean, this Rangers starting staff did such a good job for the most part this weekend. I mean, Eovaldi battling through 5 shutout innings despite really not having his command. He struck out 7, and the Rangers were able to make it not all that close. The Rangers were able to kind of put him away late in this game. The Rangers gave him a 4-run cushion to work with, and the Rangers only gave up runs late on in this game after Eovaldi was out of it at that point. But still, seeing Eovaldi be able to work through some issues with his command, I think that might have helped Jack Leiter, who it felt like a more frustrating game than it was for Leiter. He ends up with 6 innings pitched on Sunday, just 2 hits allowed. One of them was just a bloop double that fell in the middle of nowhere that scored the only run that Leiter gave up in that game. He walked 3 and he struck out a career high 7. But that Saturday game was an epitome of what this Rangers team is doing that they haven't done before. I mean, the Friday game wasn't particularly close. They were able to pile on late. They've done a good job of not just settling like they did early on in games, maybe not settling, but not being able to add on when the Rangers would, score 4 runs. Usually it's been 4 runs. That's the magic number. That the Rangers score 4 runs, they're going to win because this pitching staff is incredible. It doesn't give up more than 4 runs very often. And when you tack on even more runs of insurance, I mean, the Rangers had 4 runs through 5 innings on Friday. They tacked on 4 more runs in the 8th inning, just for good measure. And were able to use less of that high leverage pen until the very end, where Robert Garcia had to come in, even though the 9th inning started with a 7-run lead. Still, this is what this team has not done. And on Saturday, they just rallied and rallied and rallied. It was just such a back and forth contest. And even in the 9th inning, when the Rangers gave up that go-ahead run, I felt confident that this team would get it back because that's what they've done. They have done that time and time again for these past 9 games. They've done it a little bit more right leading into the break. I mean, since the month of July, they have just been one of the winningest teams in baseball. And, they have a season high 6-game winning streak heading into tonight against the Angels, who are not very good. And the Rangers have their ace on the mound for this game in Anaheim. It's a good way to keep any winning streak going is to throw Jacob deGrom out there. That's usually a recipe for success. They're also going to have Nathan Eovaldi in this series. So having 2 of your best pitchers in this series, we'll see Jacob deGrom at some point in the series against the Mariners. It would have been nice for things to line up for Nathan Eovaldi to pitch in that series against Seattle, a team who the Rangers are now tied with. The Rangers are tied for that final wild card spot. You look at the standings, and the Rangers are now just 4 games out of first place because of what they have done this weekend and what they have done for this entire homestand. But this offense just continuing to rally and rally and rally and put on these runs. And it's not just one guy. It's not just the Corey Seager show. It's not just the Marcus Semien show. It's not just Josh Smith, although he did have an incredible game on Sunday after what had been a not super great homestand for him. But I think the most encouraging thing about the way these wins have come about is that it's been an everybody thing. There has not been one player who's been playing who hasn't contributed to these wins, no matter if it was, the bottom of the roster of guys who have already been optioned back down, and Michael Hellman, who had, that incredible catch in that close game against the A's to end it. He also had that big 3-run homer in the series against the A's. We're also talking about the guy who just got sent back down and had a 3-homer game in Cody Freeman, who's saying, hey, are you sure you guys don't need me? And Cody Freeman with his first big league hit, his first big league RBI in a game that the Rangers needed every single run in that game. I mean, this is just an everybody thing continuing to just mash. And it's not one guy. It's just every night it's somebody different. It's somebody different coming through in a big way. Wyatt Langford, who had a really pretty terrible Saturday night. I mean, he had those defensive miscues. He went 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts, and then start the game on Sunday, makes the first 3 catches of the game, including robbing Jurickson Profar of extra bases on the very first batter of the game. Then he comes through with a 2-out, bases loaded, bases clearing 3 RBI double that gave the Rangers all the runs they would need to win this game in the first inning in a big, big rally. It's just that everybody is contributing. It takes the pressure off of everybody. I mean, Jock Peterson went 0 for 4 with a strikeout with the bases loaded. That would have been a really nice place for him to just come in immediately and just get a grand slam, his first plate appearance back. But, even if he doesn't, even if he takes a minute to, get those reps back, he only had 2 rehab games after missing more than a month with that broken wrist. I mean, it just does not put any pressure on anybody when everybody is coming through. And this lineup is just starting to feel like 2023. The lineup that just stepped on people's necks and did not let up. And this year is kind of feeling a little bit like a reverse 23 in the regular season, at least. We're talking about what that means and what this means for this team at the deadline and more right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Gameday Hue, and so is the hat I'm wearing. For Rangers fans like me, this one hits the mark. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. You can wear this hat anywhere, to a Rangers game, to a Rough Riders game, just out and about on the town. I wear this hat all the time to go and play pickleball. And it's not just hats, it's also gloves. Check out their split shade gloves made for the golf course. It's the perfect gift for the fan that has everything. Right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. That code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com, code MLB15. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. After every single game, Jeff Biggs is with you with the Locked On Rangers postcast, coming to you live reaction after every single game, including some late night games this week leading into this trade deadline. A big West Coast road trip against the Angels and the Mariners. It's in your Locked On Rangers podcast feeds on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Now, the Rangers can't stop winning. They're 56-50. They are tied for the third wildcard spot, although they do not hold the tiebreaker with the Seattle Mariners, because the Seattle Mariners have really given the Rangers the business this year. But you look at where they are, it's not just that third wildcard spot. The Rangers are also pretty close to the top wildcard spot. They're half a game behind Boston for that second wildcard spot. They're a game and a half behind the Yankees for the top wildcard spot. And remember at the start of this month when we said, oh, the Houston Astros are 10, 11 games up on the Rangers in this division. There's no way the Rangers, make up that ground. Well, after a 4-game losing streak by the Astros to those A's who the Rangers just beat up on, and a 6-game winning streak for the Texas Rangers, the Rangers who are 9-1 in their last 10 games, the Astros who are 4-6 in their last 10 games, including that 4-game losing streak to the A's. The Rangers are now just 4 games back in the division. This is a race. This is a real divisional race, one that we didn't think we'd get about a month ago or 2 months ago. But heading into this season, we thought this was going to be a very close 3-team race between the Mariners, between the Astros, and the Rangers. Mariners, who have been pitching not as well as they'd been in years past, but they're having a historic season from Cal Raleigh. They just made a trade at they're ahead of the deadline for Josh Naylor, who is one of the best bats on the market, a rental first baseman who I think will really give them some more depth in this lineup. They've got some more pieces that are, looking closer to the version of what they were in 2023 when they were very, very close to making the postseason. Julio Rodriguez has been bouncing back after a really tough first month. And again, I really cannot stress how good Cal Raleigh has been, who is already at 40 home runs as a catcher, which is just truly insanely good. But this is going to be a close race. And the Rangers right now, you look at their wins-loss record, it's 56-50, but their run differential is one of the best in baseball. It's the second best in the American League behind only the Yankees. The Rangers are plus 74. Plus 27 of that came in this second half alone, which if you just take the Rangers run differential in these last 9 games, they have a better run differential in the last 9 games than the Mariners do all season long. Heck, you combine the Astros and the Mariners run differential, right? Or the Rangers are at plus 74, Astros plus 39, and the Mariners are at plus 20. So you add those two together, the Rangers are still having a higher run differential than those two teams combined by 15 runs. The only team with a better run differential is plus 95 in the American League, the New York Yankees, who the Rangers are a game and a half behind in terms of their actual record. You look at the other expected wins-loss records, from these teams just around the league. This is not a particularly good year for everybody. Remember the Dodgers, who were supposed to be these unbeatable juggernauts, who spent $1 bazillion this offseason, even though they didn't get Juan Soto. They spent $1 bazillion on everybody else, from Kirby Yates to signing Blake Snell to bring in Roki Sasaki, and they're 61-45. They're 4 games up on the Padres in the division, but their run differential is just plus 66, and they could not win this series against the Red Sox. If they did, the Rangers would be alone, or at least tied for the second wild card spot, as opposed to tied for the third wild card spot. And just outside of that, it's only the Cubs and the Brewers who have a better run differential than the Rangers. They're also tied with the Phillies at plus 74. But all of that to say, all of that means that nobody's really that good right now. I mean, the Cubs are a good team. They have a plus 116 run differential. Their offense is absolutely outstanding, but their bullpen for large stretches this year has been terrible. Their rotation has been hurt and definitely needs some more depth. You look at the Brewers, I don't trust their offense, even though they have a better run differential than the Rangers. I trust them to get outs and prevent runs on the pitching side, especially with Jacob Mizorowski, who's just been a revelation there. But you look all the way up and down this whole league, the whole Major League Baseball, both leagues, and especially in the American League, nobody really scares me this year. Nobody's really that good. The Tigers had the best record in baseball, and they've been abysmal for the last 3 weeks. They have been just really bad. And until they won last night, the Rangers gave them that win on Sunday Night Baseball, and that was their only win in a 10-game stretch. The Tigers have been just free falling as of late. And, well, because the AL Central is actually not that good, they still have an 8-game lead. But what that means is that this is the year to go for it. This is a year to go for it for sure. You have a healthy Nathan Eovaldi, who is at the peak of his powers. We've never seen him better. Jacob deGrom, just fully healthy and incredibly talented. This is also the last year of Bruce Bochy's contract. And I think the only way to explain it is that this is Bruce Bochy every other year magic. It was even year magic in the National League with the Giants of 2010, 2012, 2014. Maybe it's odd year magic once he switches to the American League in 2023. Maybe it's 2025. Maybe he comes back for another couple years and we get 2027. I'd like that a lot. I'd very much enjoy that. Or if he just wanted to go, 3 out of 4 years, go back to the even year magic in 2026, I would not be opposed to back-to-back World Series championships or whatever it takes. But this just has a similar feel to that 2023 team, except in the reverse order of what happened in the regular season. Because in 2023, to start the regular season, this was just a wildfire start. The Rangers offense was clicking on all cylinders. Everybody, it felt like, and their mother was an all-star. There was not a single easy out in this lineup. Josh Young was an all-star. Jonah Heim was on fire. Corey Seager was on fire, even though he missed 6 weeks. I mean, Zeke Duran stepped in there and he was basically all-star level himself. Luis Taveras was, it should have been, at least was good enough to be an all-star in that first half. And everybody else in this whole lineup was just on fire in 2023. And then the second half happened. And then they struggled in that month of August. After a great first start to August, the first 2 weeks of August, they were great. And then the final 2 weeks of August, they were abysmal. They just limped and clawed their way to stay alive. And it looked like there was no chance after that first week of September where the Rangers just got boat raced by the Astros at home in that big series where Nathan Eovaldi came off the IL and just got lit up, and Max Scherzer came off the IL and he got lit up as well. It was just, the team was not in a good space, and then just kind of just surged enough with the call-up of Evan Carter and with this team just getting enough reinforcements back to make that postseason, and then just caught fire to start that postseason and never really looked back. And this feels like the opposite. I think it was more frustrating down the stretch if you could, write up a season of dramatics in the best way would be the most rewarding, is watching a team struggle early on and then catch fire and then see those games start to slip away and trickle away of games behind. Oh, we're 10 games behind. Now we're 8 games behind. Now we're 5 games behind. Now they're 4 games behind. This is a legitimate race. And the Astros, they're not unbeatable anymore. This is the last year of Framber Valdez, and the rest of the pitching staff outside of Valdez and Hunter Brown is a little suspect. They've got great guys in the back end of the bullpen, but the offense has, not been what Astros offense in the past has been. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries, and they keep somehow getting more injuries. I mean, the Astros are dealing with a lot of injuries, and no one feels bad for them because no one felt bad for the Rangers when they've been dealing with their injuries. Jeremy Pena has been dealing with injuries this year. Isaac Paredes is going to be on the IL for probably a long time with a quad strain that they didn't think was going to be that bad, but ended up being a lot worse than they initially expected it. Jordan Alvarez hasn't played in forever, and when he played, he wasn't that good. And they have only so many guys they can keep calling up to keep eating some innings and being starts and making starts. I mean, Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown have ERAs below 3, but everybody else in this rotation has been lit up quite a bit. So all that to say, I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Young really went for it at this deadline. This is not a strong farm system for the Rangers, but really going for it looks like acquiring maybe 2 players, because right now the Rangers put Chris Martin on the IL. And when you get to October, you want usually 3 to 4. The Rangers survived with 3 high leverage bullpen arms that they rode all the way into the ground and rode to victory in Jose Leclerc and Josh Boers and Aroldis Chapman when they made it to October. Right now, the Rangers have 4 guys that I trust pretty highly in any leverage spot in the playoffs. I mean, Hobie Milner, very much trust that guy. Robert Garcia, very much trust him as well. Sean Armstrong, I very much trust him as well. And John Gray, it's been a bit of a mixed bag, but I trust him in high leverage spots as well. And then you get Chris Martin back. Then you've got 5 guys in those spots. And then you have to probably send down Cole Winn. Maybe the Rangers make a move or they just cut bait with Caleb Bosley. I mean, but that's not even including Jacob Latz, who can pitch in those high leverage spots. The Rangers have 3 lefties in their pen who they can go to in high leverage spots that are good against lefties that can also get righties out. I mean, Jacob Webb is kind of the only weak link in this pen, and he's not really that weak of a link if he's your 5th or 6th best reliever. And all that to say, it could always get a little bit better. They could probably use a right-handed bat upgrade. It's kind of frustrating because there were a lot of prospects, high up in the farm who I thought would be, jumping into this pen, giving the Rangers some more, just nasty, nasty stuff in the form of Emiliano Teodo, who has not done well this year and also dealt with some injuries, and Winston Santos, who I thought might transition to a bullpen role, but he has been dealing with a back injury for the vast majority of this season. The Rangers just got another guy off of the IL who is on their 40-man roster in Jose Corniel. Mark Church, who I thought would be playing a role, he has been dealing with some injuries as well. I thought the Rangers could just supplement their bullpen with some nasty stuff from the farm, but that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. And even then, it would be tough to throw rookies straight up into the fire. Maybe the Rangers end up going for a reunion with Pete Fairbanks, who they gave away for the Nick Solak trade. What an absolutely lopsided loss of a trade that was for the Rangers. Maybe they kick the tires on David Bednar. I would love that option for the Rangers. Maybe they look at Johan Duran of the Twins, who are firmly out of it. But this is a team that can very much make that run. They could maybe use another right-handed bat to take the spot of Zeke Duran on this roster, who has just not been that good. Heck, maybe that's Cody Freeman. Maybe Cody Freeman comes back up and is a guy who the Rangers can use to just crush left-handed pitching. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do at this deadline, how aggressive they need to be or will be, but as currently constructed, this is a title contending team. Something we never thought they'd be in the month of May. Definitely didn't think in the early parts of June. But what they've done in the month of July and in this homestand makes me think this is a team that can absolutely go all the way. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.